I have had a congenital heart disease since I was in my mother's womb, and I am most susceptible to fright. I am truly a fragile porcelain doll. At home, everyone has to speak in a low voice, and even the TV volume can't be turned up too loud. To let me rest quietly, my parents even sent my younger sister, who had just started elementary school, to a boarding school. It wasn't until New Year's Eve that my sister insisted on setting off a powerful firework called Thunder King in the yard. Looking at the thick fuse, I felt my heart racing and clutched my chest, pleading for help. Mom, my heart is fluttering. Can we not set this off? My mother, who had always been full of doting affection, suddenly looked at me with disgust. She snatched the lighter from my sister's hand and shoved it into mine. Fluttering? You just can't stand to see your sister happy, can you? This is the only time all year, and you have to ruin the mood, don't you? Here, light it yourself. Let it blow you up and be done with it. Don't just whine about feeling sick. She grabbed my trembling hand and pressed the lighter. The fuse burned down and the fireworks burst into brilliant light. The roar mixed with the pounding of my heart in my ears, and suddenly, I felt a sense of release. The explosion rang in my ears, shattering my heart. The world went silent instantly, Su Yao's screams and the distant firecrackers all disappeared. Pain surged through my body, my heart felt as if it were being crushed. I opened my mouth wide, trying to breathe in air, but my throat could only emit a hoarse, ha-ha sound. The fireworks before my eyes twisted and distorted, gradually swallowed by darkness. My body lost control and fell backward, landing with a thump and splashing snow. The chill swept over me, but instead of becoming, I felt my body temperature draining away. Slowly, the sharp pain suddenly disappeared. A sense of lightness washed over me, and I felt myself floating up. For the first time, I saw myself from a third-person perspective. The me lying in the snow looked a bit frail, wearing an old down jacket with a bluish-purple neck. Her eyes were fixed on the dying embers of the fireworks in the night sky, pupils dilated and unfocused. Who would have thought that after being cared for so carefully for over a decade, I would be sent off on this New Year's Eve by the Thunder King firework my own mother forced me to light. Wow, that was so loud. So exciting. Su Yao jumped around the yard, covering her ears, her face full of ecstasy. She stomped through the snow, making a creaking sound, and even took care to avoid the lying at her feet. The door pushed open, and warm yellow light spilled out along with the aroma of dumplings. Mom walked out with a spatula in hand, looking at Su Yao. Slow down. The snow is slippery. If you fall, you'll cry. Mom, look at sis. Su Yao pointed at the figure in the snow. She got scared and collapsed. Haha, lighting a firework scared her so much she fell. What a coward. Mom's smile faded, her eyes full of disgust and impatience. She strode over to where my body lay. I was still curled up in the same position. Enough with the act. She lifted her foot and kicked my calf. Are you trying to bring bad luck on New Year's? Yao Yao is happy, and you have to play dead for whom? Hurry up and get up to wash your hands and eat. Don't make me slap you. Floating in midair, I watched her angry, twisted face and instinctively explained. Mom, I can't get up. I'm really dead. But my voice dissipated in the air without reaching her ears. Fine. Sun Yan, you've got some nerve. Mom bent down and snatched the lighter from my hand. Since you want to lie there so badly, then lie there to your heart's content. Freeze to death, you ungrateful wretch. She turned and took Su Yao's hand, her tone suddenly gentle. Yao Yao, hurry inside. Don't catch a cold. Some people are just born worthless, no need to bother with them. But sis, ignore her. She just can't stand to see you happy. She's putting on a show off to ruin the New Year's Eve dinner. What bad luck. Bang. These slammed shut, cutting off the warmth inside and also severing my last ties to this world. My body grew colder and colder, my bluish-purple face looking particularly eerie against the snow. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the huge TV playing the opening dance of the Spring Festival Gala. Dad brought a steaming copper hot pot to the table, the aroma of beef and lamb seeming to penetrate the glass. The three of them raised their glasses in a toast. To Yao Yao's academic progress. To my wife. To Dad making a fortune. Cheers. Their faces glowed with happiness, laughing without a care in the world. No one looked outside. No one cared about the eldest daughter lying in the snow. I floated to the window and pressed against the glass, greedily gazing at that New Year's Eve feast. There was braised pork, sweet and sour ribs, and my favorite braised prawns in oil. In the past, I didn't dare eat too much. If I took an extra piece of meat, Mom would tap my hand with her chopsticks, saying my heart was bad and eating it might kill me. Well, now I'm really dead. From now on, I'll never have to. Never have to take bitter medicine. Never have to live under their watchful eyes. I looked at my own body and found it amusing. Sun Yan, this is the family you tried so hard to please. You used your life to entertain them, yet they couldn't even spare you a burial cloth. That's fine. I sat beside my body, watching the heavy snowfall. From now on New Year's Eve, you won't have to cater to my feelings. You're free now, and I'm free too. The snow fell heavier and heavier. Half an hour later, a layer of frost covered my body. Inside, the New Year's Eve dinner was in full swing. Dad, flushed after 2 glasses of baijiu, was animatedly talking about work. Su Yao, gnawing on a chicken wing, mumbled indistinctly. Dad, earlier Sis's hands were shaking like chicken claws. Her face was white. Ha 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 ha. The whole family burst into laughter. Dad shook his head and picked up some food. Your sister's always been too timid. She's been like this since she was little, such a drama queen. That's right, such a drama queen. Mom added a piece of braised pork to Su Yao's bowl, her eyes full of resentment. To treat her illness, our family couldn't even set off firecrackers. Now that we finally get her to try and build some courage, she plays dead. I think she's doing it on purpose. She just can't stand to see us happy. Su Yao dutifully put some food in Mom's bowl. Mom, don't be angry. It's over now. Let her lie there if she wants. Listening to these words, I felt no ripples in my heart. Probably when the heart dies, the end chill along with the body temperature. So all my more than 20 years off were just being a drama queen. At 8:30, the snow had covered most of my body. Dad put down his glass and glanced out the window, seeming to find that dark lump an eyesore. All right, let her in, he frowned. Lying in the yard on New Year's Eve like that is a bad look. If someone sees, they'll think we're abusing her. Bad luck. What he cared about was face. Mom reluctantly put down her chopsticks. We really owe her one. Can't even eat in peace. She pushed open the door, and the cold wind rushed in, dispersing the warmth inside. Sun Yan, haven't you yet? Mom shouted at the snow. Get the hell up now. No response. Mom's patience ran out as she strode over, bent down, grabbed my arm, and yanked hard. Get inside. My body was already stiff. When she pulled, it was dragged stiffly. My heels hit the edge of the steps with a dull thud. If I were alive, it would have hurt enough to make me cry out. Through my thick down jacket, Mom couldn't feel my body temperature through her gloves. She just thought I was being stubborn. Stiff as a rock. She punched my back twice as she dragged me. Let's see how long you can keep this up. She dragged me inside. With a bang, I crashed heavily onto the floor of the entryway, my head hitting the shoe cabinet with a dull thud. Oh my God, Mom. The floor's all dirty. Su Yao wrinkled her nose and stepped back. It's all snow, water, and mud. Mom, panting heavily, kicked me. Your sister can clean it up later. Dad frowned, annoyed that I was blocking the way. Mom cursed, lazy pig, bent down, grabbed my ankles, and dragged me to the corner of the living room, tossing me onto the old, collapsed sofa. I was thrown onto the sofa, the snow on my down jacket melting and leaving a puddle of water stains. My face was bluish purple, my eyes half open, staring fixedly at the crystal chandelier. When we replaced the light last year, I said it was too glaring. Mom called me fussy. Now I could finally look directly at this light. Sio passed by to get a drink and saw my face. She stumbled back in fright. Oh my God, Sis's face is so scary, like a ghost. Mom wiped the floor without looking up. She's just resentful towards us. An ungrateful wretch. Don't bother with her. It's disgusting to look at. Sio casually grabbed a dirty school uniform and covered my face with it. Out of sight, out of mind. Su Yao clapped her hands and went back to the table. Come on, keep eating. Mom, I want that shrimp. There was no bowl or chopsticks for me at the table. On this night of reunion, I was like a piece of old furniture, thrown in a corner and covered with hay. As midnight approached, the warmth indoors accelerated the appearance of livor mortis. The stiffness in my limbs spread to my torso. The TV host's voice rose excitedly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. The sound of firecrackers outside was deafening. Dad pulled out 2 thick red envelopes. These are Yao Yao's New Year's money. Wishing our little princess academic success. The envelopes were very thick. Suyao wiped her hands, grabbed them eagerly, and said sweetly, "Thank you, Dad." Then Dad gave one to Mom. "Thank you for your hard work, honey." After handing out the envelopes, Dad's hand touched another thin envelope in his pocket. He glanced towards the corner. "What about that dead girl's?" Mom counted the money and snorted coldly. "Give her what?" "She wanted to die just now, throwing a tantrum. Better to use it to buy Yao Yao 2 new outfits." Dad hesitated for a moment, then withdrew his empty hand. "True. Save her from buying those medicines with the money. Her body was ruined by all that medicine anyway." I wanted to laugh from the side. Those were life-saving medicines. So in your eyes, my will to survive was just a waste of money. All right, time for bed. Dad got up and went back to his room. Suyao stuffed the red envelopes under her pillow and went to wash up. As she passed the living room, she tripped over my arm, which had fallen off the sofa and was dangling to the floor. Ouch! Suyao stumbled, steadied herself, and then angrily kicked my calf hard. So annoying. If you're sleeping, sleep properly. If you're awake, get up and do the dishes. In the past, I would have apologized. But this time, my arm only swayed with the kick and then stiffly fell back. What an act. Suyao rolled her eyes. Lazy, you're better off dead. Mom poked her head out of the kitchen, anger flaring up again. Su Nian. I'm counting to 3. If you're not up by then, get the hell out of this house tomorrow. 1, 2, 3. The room was. Like a puppet, I endured their insults and kicks, remaining stiff and motionless. This silence infuriated Mom. Fine. Very well. Mom strode to the window and turned the radiator valve to the minimum. Since you want to play dead, then freeze. No one is allowed to cover her with a blanket. The lights were turned off for sleep. After the doors closed, the New Year's Eve night finally quieted down. Snowlight filtered into the dark living room, outlining the furniture and also illuminating my cold corpse. The room temperature dropped. I floated in the air, watching myself. A dirty school uniform covered my face, one arm hung to the floor, my posture twisted and pathetic. Last New Year's Eve, I also sat here watching them eat. Afterwards, I did the dishes, just to curry favor with Mom so she would buy me medicine. But until I died, that medicine was never bought because Suyao needed to sign up for classes and Dad needed a new phone. They always said I was the older sister and should be understanding. I really was very understanding. I stopped taking my medicine and even saved up the money I earned from part-time jobs. My gaze penetrated the corpse's down jacket. Inside the inner pocket was a bulging envelope. That was the money I had saved, penny by penny, after stopping my anti-rejection medication. I had planned to give it to Mom tonight and beg her to take me to see a doctor. But it was too late. It would never happen. Looking at that envelope, I smiled bitterly. Consider this money as payment for my life, or as compensation for my last act of being not understanding. Tomorrow morning, when you pull that cold envelope out of my pocket, what expression will you have? The sky outside the window was turning fish belly white. It was the first day of the new year, time for New Year's greetings. The door to the master bedroom opened. Mom, in her red pajamas, yawned as she came out to make breakfast. Passing the living room, she glanced at me on the sofa, still motionless under the dirty school uniform. Su Nian. Mom's scream shattered the morning calm. Are you trying to bring bad luck on New Year's Day? Trying to embarrass me? She rushed over furiously, as if she were about to tear me apart. I floated in midair, quietly watching her. The truth was about to be revealed. I hope this time you can handle this heavy gift. Su Nian. Mom's scream shattered the morning calm. She rushed angrily to the sofa. Seeing me still curled up motionless under the dirty school uniform, the fire in her eyes nearly burst out. How long are you going to keep up this act? Huh? Giving me attitude on New Year's Day? You want to sleep? I'll let you sleep. I'll let you act. She suddenly reached out and fiercely ripped the dirty school uniform off my face. Swish! The uniform was thrown viciously to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. The bright morning light, now fully risen, shone without onto my face. Mom's hand, raised high and ready to strike, froze in midair. Mom screamed as if someone had grabbed her throat. She stumbled back in fright, but tripped over the coffee table and fell hard on her bottom. What's wrong, honey? Dad, still in his pajamas, rubbed his sleepy eyes as he walked out of the bedroom, followed by impatient-looking Suyao. Mom, you woke me up. If she's lazing in bed, just splash cold water on her. Why are you yelling? You scared me. Old Sue. Mom sat on the floor, her finger trembling as she pointed at me on the sofa, her lips quivering so much she couldn't form a sentence. Nyen nyen. Nyen nyen she. What about her? She couldn't have died, could she? Dad walked over impatiently, following her pointing finger. When his eyes landed on my terrifying face, he jerked violently. Whoa! Dad's legs went weak, and he only stayed upright by grabbing the cabinet beside him. The room fell in two. Only the clock on the wall kept ticking, tick-tock, tick-tock. It's an act, right? Suyao was also scared. She hid behind Dad, not daring to peek out. Sis is the best actress. She must have put on makeup to scare us. To get out of doing chores, she'd do anything. This sentence seemed to give Mom a glimmer of hope. Right? An act. Definitely an act. Mom scrambled to her feet, crawling and clawing, and lunged at me like a madwoman. Sunyen, you damn girl. You dare scare your mother. Get up. Get up now. She grabbed my wrist. The next second, the feeling like grasping a piece of frozen pork shattered her illusion. Cold. Stiff. No pulse, no heartbeat. Rigor mortis had fully set in. When she pulled, my entire upper body lifted stiffly like a board, without the flexible bending of joints like a living person. Mom let go of my hand as if electrocuted. My body crashed heavily back onto the sofa with a dull thud. My head, due to inertia, turned to one side, and that pair of cloudy eyes happened to stare directly at Mom. Cold, stiff. Mom looked at her own hand, her whole body trembling violently, tears and mucus instantly streaming down her face. Old Sue, she's really cold. When I dragged her in last night, she was already stiff. I thought she was deliberately being stubborn. How could this happen? Dad's face was ashen. Quick! Call an ambulance. No, first check if she can still be saved. He rushed over, trembling as he reached out to check my breath, but didn't dare touch me. Finally, he frantically patted my body. Medicine? Where's her medicine? This damn girl always carries her medicine with her. He frantically searched the pockets of my dirty down jacket. He didn't find a medicine bottle, but he did find a thick, somewhat deformed envelope. Dad pulled the envelope out in one go. The envelope wasn't sealed. As his hand shook, shwala, a large pile of change scattered all over the floor. There were 100 yuan bills, 50 yuan bills, and even a handful of coins, rolling everywhere with a clatter. Along with this money, a neatly folded piece of paper and a pink receipt fell out. What is this? Dad picked up the paper. It was a suicide note. The handwriting was very scrawled, because when I wrote it, I had turned off the light to save electricity, and my hands were frozen stiff. Dad, Mom, when you see this letter, I should probably be gone already. Sorry for causing you more trouble during the new year again. The doctor said my heart failure has reached an advanced stage. A heart transplant costs 500,000. Our family doesn't have that kind of money, and I don't have that luck. These past 6 months, I've stopped taking my anti-rejection and heart-strengthening meds. Taking them was just a waste of money anyway. Here's 8,400 yuan. It's money I saved up this past year from delivering food and handing out flyers. I originally wanted to save up 10,000 to cover Su Yao's summer camp tuition, but my body gave out. I couldn't hold on. Mom, you always said I was dramatic, that I didn't understand, that I was just a burden alive. I thought about it, and I think you're right. So this time, I'm really leaving. I won't hold you back anymore. Happy New Year's Eve. This is my last time not being a killjoy. As Dad read, his voice began to choke, finally turning into loud wails. That light piece of paper now weighed like a 1,000-pound boulder, crashing heavily onto his heart. Stopped the medicine. She stopped the medicine. Mom snatched the paper, reading it over and over again, her whole body on the floor, banging her head against it with dull thuds. I'm an animal. Last night I made her light that firework. I told her to go die. And she really did die. Su Yao stood aside, looking at the change scattered all over the floor, but still bit her lip and muttered quietly, "Who told her to stop the medicine? It's not like we refused to buy it for her." Just then, a gust of wind blew. That receipt floated to Su Yao's feet. She subconsciously picked it up and looked at it. Customer name, Su Nian. Service item, cremation, standard urn, sea burial service. Amount, 2,800 yuan. Remarks, after my death, please have me cremated directly. Do not notify family. Scatter ashes at sea. No trouble for anyone. Date, December 31st. The family's crying. In the silence, only a bone-deep chill crept up from the soles of their feet, straight to the top of their heads. I watched them from midair. Watched the expressions on their faces, a mixture of shock, fear, shame, and disbelief. The ambulance and the police arrived at the same time. On New Year's Day, involving an unnatural death, the police response was quick. The emergency doctor took one look and shook his head. Livor mortis has already fused. Time of death was at least 10 hours ago, meaning around 8 or 9 last night. The doctor removed his stethoscope, his gaze sweeping over the 3 people in the room. And you were all in the house this whole time? You didn't notice she was dead. Mom, disheveled, her eyes swollen like peaches, rambled incoherently. We thought she was sleeping. We thought she was angry. She's usually like that. Thought? The doctor sneered, pointing at my bluish-purple face. This hypoxic appearance means she must have suffered tremendous pain before death. Sudden cardiac death is often accompanied by severe chest pain and difficulty breathing. She was struggling right under your noses, and you didn't hear a thing. We were watching the Spring Festival Gala, setting off firecrackers. Dad lowered his head, his voice tiny like a mosquito. The police investigated the scene and soon discovered the huge remains of the Thunder King firework in the yard. Who lit the firecracker? The police officer asked. She wanted to light it herself, Su Yao quickly interjected, her eyes starting. Sis said she wanted to play, so we let her. Nonsense. A clear, cold voice suddenly came from the doorway. It was Grandma Wang next door. Usually, this old lady loved to meddle, and I often helped her carry groceries upstairs. Grandma Wang, leaning on her cane, pointed angrily at Su Yao. Officer, I was on the balcony last night putting away clothes. I saw it clearly. This girl was in the yard saying she was scared, that her heart was racing. It was her mother who forced her to light it. Her mother even said, "Let it blow you up and be done with it." I heard it. And Grandma Wang pointed at Su Yao again. This little girl is even worse. As soon as the firecracker went off, this girl collapsed, and this one was over there clapping and laughing. Later, this girl lay in the snow for half an hour, and no one bothered about her. It's a sin. Grandma Wang's testimony slapped my parents hard across the face. The neighbors who had gathered around began to point and whisper. My God, that's too cruel. Isn't this murder? A biological mother forces her daughter with a heart condition to light a Thunder King? Her heart must be black. The police officer's face instantly darkened. Take them in. For questioning. Just then, a young officer responsible for evidence collection walked over with Su Yao's phone. Captain, found something. He handed the phone to the captain. The deceased sent this girl many WeChat messages. The captain opened WeChat and turned on the speaker. Voices full of malice instantly echoed through the room. Sunyan, can you stop taking those damn meds? 2,000 a month. Where does our family have that kind of money to fill your bottomless pit? I need to go to summer camp and buy a new phone. Mom and Dad say there's no money and it's all your fault. Why aren't you dead yet? If you were dead, Mom and Dad's money would all be mine. I looked it up. As long as you get scared, your heart can't handle it. On New Year's Eve, I bought a bunch of Thunder Kings. Hee, just wait. The recording finished playing. The entire scene was dead silent. Everyone's gaze focused on Suyao. In Mom and Dad's eyes, she was the well-behaved, understanding, academically excellent little princess. But at this moment, her face was as pale as paper, her whole body trembling like a leaf. No, I was joking. I didn't really mean to kill her. Suyao cried, defending herself. Mom looked incredulously at her most beloved younger daughter. Yao. Did you say all that? The medicine. Did you make her stop taking it? Mom suddenly seemed to remember something. She rushed like a madwoman into Suyao's room, ransacking drawers and cabinets. Soon, deep in the drawer of Suyao's desk, she found several unopened medicine bottles. They were the medicines I had lost over the past 6 months. Mom, I can't find my medicine. Can you buy me another bottle? Buy what? You lost it yourself, you find it. I think you just don't want to take it. So they were all here. Smack. Mom fiercely slapped Suyao across the face. Suyao was hit so hard blood trickled from the corner of her mouth, and she fell to the ground. You're an animal. She was your own sister. Mom wailed, kneeling on the floor and beating her chest. What sin did I commit? Dad crouched in a corner, holding his head, looking at the room full of police, at the ugly truth being exposed, completely. I floated in midair, watching this scene with a sour heart. Now that it's come to this, what use is regret? My body was taken away. Involving abuse and involuntary manslaughter, it didn't go to my prearranged direct cremation but required an autopsy. This also meant that receipt for funeral services couldn't be used. My parents had to hold a funeral for me, to salvage some face and to prove to relatives and neighbors that they weren't murderers. This funeral was exceptionally elaborate. The mourning hall was set up in the largest room at the funeral parlor, filled with wreaths and a large black and white photo of me. This was probably shedding crocodile tears. Many people came to pay respects, but more than half were just curious onlookers, here to see the parents who forced their daughter to death and that venomous younger sister, what they really looked like. My parents stood in the mourning hall in black funeral attire, receiving guests. In just 3 days, they seemed to have aged 10 years. Dad's back was hunched, his hair gray. Mom was in a daze, her eyes bloodshot. Whenever she closed her eyes, she would see my bluish-purple face, feel that cold, stiff touch. As for Suyao, she hid in a corner, wearing a mask and hat, not daring to look up. Whenever she appeared, whispers would arise around her. Look, that's the girl who hid her own sister's medicine and scared her. How can such a young girl be so vicious? I heard the police are still investigating. Does this count as intentional homicide? Who would dare marry her in the future? This whole family is terrifying. These words pierced Suyao like needles. Her proud halo of being a top student was shattered. The school had already notified her of temporary suspension because parents had jointly protested, unwilling to let their children be classmates with a murderer. Just then, a commotion suddenly arose at the entrance. A group of people in white coats walked in. Leading them was my primary physician, Dr. Lee. He held a report in his hand and walked straight up to my parents. You are Sunyan's parents? Dr. Lee asked expressionlessly. Yes. Dad replied tremblingly. This is Sunyan's autopsy report and her medical history. Dr. Lee slammed the thick stack of papers onto the table. I've been a doctor for 20 years, and I've never seen parents like you. The deceased's stomach was completely empty, containing only a small amount of snow water and gastric juice. New Year's Eve, the reunion dinner, you had plenty of meat and fish, but she didn't even get a sip of hot soup. She was so hungry she had to eat snow to dull the pain. The whole room erupted. Mom covered her mouth, tears streaming uncontrollably. We thought she wasn't hungry. She didn't come out to eat. Not hungry, Dr. Lee sneered. Her heart was already enlarged to twice its normal size. That's the result of overload and lack of medication. Every heartbeat was torture for her. It wasn't that she didn't want to move, she was in too much pain to move. And Dr. Lee pulled a crumpled card from his bag. This is an organ donor consent form. She signed it 6 months ago. She told me the family had no money for treatment, and she didn't want to be a burden. If she died, she wanted to donate whatever usable parts she had, maybe exchange for some so-called compensation to leave for her parents' retirement. But Dr. Lee took a deep breath, pointed at my portrait, his eyes reddening. Because of severe malnutrition and lack of medication, combined with lying in the snow for too long after death, not a single one of her organs could be used. All necrotic. She wanted to leave you one last thought, and you destroyed it with your own hands. You don't deserve to be her parents. You are murderers. Dr. Lee's roar echoed through the morning hall. Those relatives who had been putting on a facade could no longer hold back. Old Sue, what you did, it's too cruel. This isn't raising a daughter, this is raising an enemy. Let's go, let's go. This place is cursed, afraid of retribution. The guests left one after another, spitting on the ground before they went. The morning hall quickly became empty. Only the room full of white flowers and that family of 3 remained. Mom sat on the floor, clutching my portrait, letting out a heart-wrenching wail. Nien Nien. Mom was wrong. Mom was really wrong. Come back. Mom will make you braised pork. Mom will buy you medicine. Mom will never call you dramatic again. Please, don't punish Mom like this. Mom can't bear it. My ashes were eventually scattered at sea. This was the only thing that went according to my wish. But I didn't truly disappear. It seemed some obsession trapped me, keeping me lingering around that home. After the funeral, Dad lost his job. His employer talked to him, saying his family matters had too an influence and letting him take early retirement. His pension was greatly reduced. They had hoped to save money after my death, but now their income was even lower. Mom's mind began to fail. She started staying up all night, sitting on that old sofa in the living room, holding that dirty school uniform that had covered me, muttering to herself. Nien Nien isn't dead. Nien Nien is just sleeping. Shh, don't make noise. Nien Nien is timid, easily frightened. Whenever she heard firecrackers, she would scream like a mad woman, rush out and beat the children, setting them off, then get